hit record, and I'm just going to pin my video up, and so people will get to see my video. So just getting everything set up. So thank you very much for everyone who has come along. If you see me reaching for the computer at any stage, it's because something has popped up that I just have to click. Alright, so thank you so much for coming along to this masterclass on how to really learn how to develop and enhance your squat technique. So this is part of the Wholesome Mover program, where people will be able to really kind of tap into learning more about the body, learning how to bring a lot more movement into play. And it's not just following along with exercises, it's learning how to really understand and educate ourselves on our movement quality a lot more, and that's what's going to give us a lot more rounded practice with it. It's like I always feel, coming from my background, it's like I always feel like the more someone has an understanding of why, and that's going to give them a lot more connection as to how to actually start implementing it, rather than just being told, do this movement and not question it. Like, we don't get a lot of buy-in with it, whereas as soon as we understand it more, as soon as we have more of a connection to why we do all these things, that's going to give us a lot more buy-in and more of a want to develop ourselves in that field. So with the idea of these master classes, it's going to be a chance for us to really start learning how we can understand our body a lot more, bring all of these changes in our day-to-day life, and that's what's going to help enhance everything within the movement practice. So with the Wholesome Mover, we have a combination of mobility sessions, strength sessions, breathwork sessions, and everything as well. And then everything that we're learning in this session is going to transfer so nicely into everything else that we're doing. So before we start off, I'm just going to have a quick little check-in with our breath, just to see where we're at with it. And again, it's just a really good, a nice way to just bring intention to what it is that we're ready to start when we're changing from one task to the other. So as you're sitting there, if you want to sit up, if you want to kneel down, whatever feels comfortable for you, just getting yourself into a position. And you're just going to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. So as you're taking a few deep breaths, you just want to allow yourself to slow down and just feel how that feels in your body. Taking that nice slow breath coming in and allow that breath to slowly ease out. Again, not trying to force anything, we're just bringing that nice flow and ease with that breath as we're bringing that in and as we're breathing that out. And again, we're just working that breath in. Coming nice, slow and gentle, and as you're breathing out, really allow yourself to relax and drop into that space and allow any of that tension to ease off. And again, I'm just going to go for a few more cycles of this. Just start bringing that intention and awareness to your body of why we're here, and allowing ourselves to open up to receive the teachings that I'm going to be offering and learn a bit more how to connect deeper with our bodies. I'm just going to go for one last big breath together. And out. Beautiful. Okay, so with today's session, as I said, we're going to be talking through a lot of different aspects around how to develop our squat pattern, our squat technique. But before we get into that, it's not just about what you do within training, it's what you do day to day, and no matter what, how we spend our time day to day, that's what's going to have the biggest effect. You can have the best training programs, but you're only going to do it when you're in the gym or when you're in that mindset of doing it. Whereas the more we can learn how to bring this awareness into every aspect of the day, that's where we're going to have a lot more changes. And for me, that was the biggest eye-opening moment for me around my own movement journey. Coming from a sports physio background, when I was younger, I disqualified, I could just punish my body and used to smash my body, see how hard it can go, see how I can just push through things. But I had so many injuries and niggles, and my movement ability was absolutely, it was embarrassing to be honest. It's Because I never looked after the basics, I never looked after my foundations, I always tried to jump straight into the deep end and try to push, and then wondered why I was keep getting these niggles or injuries. I wasn't being able to progress how I wanted to progress. And it wasn't until I started maturing more and understanding more about my body, as well as understanding that more that connection around the mind, body, soul, and that I started to switch my thoughts and feelings around how I nourish my body through movement and my mindset about the training. Whenever we first started traveling, like I remember it was 10 years ago, traveling around Thailand, and like I was just blown away seeing all of these old guys just sitting in the bottom of the deep squat on the side of the road, eating food, waiting for the bus. And at that stage, my squat was probably about that. That was like the limit and extent of what I could get into a squat half comfortably without my back cramping up, without my hips cramping up, which coming from someone that helps fix people and helps people move was pretty atrocious. So like that's whenever I started kind of looking, I was like, right, I need to change my mindset around what I want to do. So I started fine-tuning how I was training, and like over the next couple of years, I started doing a lot more mobility stuff with my training, started changing up the intensity that I was training to start nourishing my body. But my progress was really fucking slow. Because coming from someone that never done any of that sort of training before, I had lots of restrictions in it and like old injuries and stuff that I had never really sorted out. And my progress was really slow because I was just trying to undo all of these restrictions in my 15-20 minute warm up before my training, and that might be like 3-4 days a week. So it wasn't really conducive to have big massive results. Like it was slowly getting better and better, but it still wasn't to where I wanted to be. Like after a few years, I might have got that squat from this pattern down to, I was able to get down to about a 90-degree squat with my shoulders still be around me, but that was the extent that I could get down. At that stage, I was doing a lot of CrossFit and I was doing a lot of heavy squats, but I kept hitting plateaus with my training, which was really fucking frustrating. It's like I couldn't get over like 100 kg squats for reps because everything, like as soon as it would go heavier on it, like stuff would just blow out, my knees would drop in, my back would drop, and my technique would drop. So it's always mindful, it's like if it wasn't a good technique, I wasn't trying to push through it. Where I see so many other ones with shit form, just keep loading it top. So this was when I said, I was like, right, something needs to give, something needs to change. So I actually stopped lifting weights altogether for 8 months and started adapting a lot more bodyweight strength training as well as a lot more ground lifting. So got rid of a lot of the furniture in my house. This was about 4.5-5 years ago. So we started getting rid of a lot more furniture in the house, and I started spending so much time sitting on the floor. And like every time I was eating my lunch and stuff like that, when I was at work, I was eating in a squatted position where I was trying to accumulate as much time in these different positions to open out through my hips, open through my back, open through my ankles, because they were where my big restrictions were. And I still remember to today as clear as ever the first time I was able to sit in the bottom of a squat with my heels in the ground, sitting in the bottom of the squat and eating a full lunch in that position. Like it was absolutely painful as through my shins, through my back, but I was able to sit in the bottom of the squat for the whole time eating my lunch. And like as soon as I finished my lunch, I remember jumping up and like literally skipping around the car park and ringing my wife, telling her how excited it was, and she was just like, "You're fucking weirdo." But it was something that is like, it was such a big, massive thing for me because that was something I wanted to achieve for so long, to be able to do that. And by getting there, it wasn't with the training that I was doing, it was more so like how I was inviting moving into all aspects of the day, how I started changing my mindset around it. That just opened up a whole new level of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to be able to teach people about work. And that's what's driven a lot of the stuff that I do now, like my bodyweight strength training, the primal movement flow, all of the ground living and natural living principles. All of these things are so close to my heart because I can see how they change people's lives, and like I see over the years now how I've been able to help so many people develop these new patterns and new belief systems within their body that they never actually thought was attainable. So that's what I want to share today in this session, is how you can start making these changes for yourselves to start creating this change in your body. So with this, it's one of the things is it all comes back to empowering ourselves with knowledge. The more we can empower ourselves with knowledge, that gives us more choice of how we wish to choose, which is going to have that roll-on effect in everything else that we do. And this is why I love looking at movement and tying movement in with personal development, because it has such a beautiful crossover with it. If we have certain blockages within our movement capacity, a lot of times we try to push through a ego, push through bodies or unconscious patterns, or just ignore them all. Then that's such a similar thing happens when we're looking at our own development. It's like if we hit resistance, we just push through with ignorance, or we just bury them down and try not to think about them and like just try to work around it. Whereas the same as movement, the same as our own personal development, the journey that we're on, as soon as we actually slow things down and shine that light of awareness onto all of our dark spots, all of our problem spots, and start bringing light to them problem spots, and start giving it the energy and the love and the attention that it starts to need, that's where we're going to start creating changes, be it in your movement, be it in how you show up in relationships for yourself, with other people, and so on. So with that, I'm just going to start kind of talking through some of the basics that we'll be covering in the session. And like when we're starting to look at developing our squat pattern, like it shows our squat pattern and our hip pattern and stuff like that is the first thing to focus on in a wholesome mover, because I feel it is one of the most important foundations that is overlooked. Like when you look at child development, it's such a massive milestone in that child development for a baby learning how to roll over, how to lift the chest up, how to start crawling, how to start standing up and getting a bit of balance, how to start getting into the squat. And it's not until they are able to develop how to sit in a rested squat position that they're actually going to be able to walk. And like so it's one of them things, like no matter who you are, like if you have been walking your whole life, if you had this, then you have been able to squat in an absolutely perfect squat at some stage in your life, but it was just somewhere along your younger years that has been taken away from you. Like I'm a firm believer that so much that was taken away from us when we went to school, because we were told to sit down and not move, and then when you get home you're sat down in front of the TV and you don't move, and like that just feeds these patterns, this lockers into this. And then as we put more stress and more tension and more trauma on top of that, that's where we just hold more and more of this in our body and locks us up in all these positions. So as we start opening up through our body in this sense, that's what allows us to start opening up to a lot of their emotions, a lot of our traumas, and a lot of our stresses that we hold within our body as well. So when we start looking at opening through the pelvis, it's such a big one, because that's where we store a lot of our base energy through here. That's where we store a lot of that sexual energy. That's where like our power center comes from. So by getting connected deeper to that area and starting bringing energy and awareness to how we move through that area, that's going to give us so much more of a base and a foundation to move forward in everything else that we do. And again, that's one of the biggest reasons why I chose squat as the first element of working with the wholesome mover. The next month we're going to be working through our thoracic and our shoulders, but basically the whole idea behind that one is because that's where we're opening up and hard through energy centers as well. So as we kind of roll on from that, there's going to be three main areas that we kind of talk into when we're looking at the squat, and how we can start bringing our squat back to the basics of how we should squat and how we should be able to sit in that resting squat position. Again, it's one of them things, you're not going to get this in a couple of weeks. It is a process where you start going on this journey and this process for yourself. So be excited about that process and that journey. But a few things to kind of take a note with it is there's the three big areas where I see people that have blockages around developing a good squat pattern. And the first one is it's basically like our genetics and like the makeup of our body, because that has a massive role effect in how we are capable of moving. The next one is going to be looking at the difference between mobility and stability issues, and how like a lot of people cannot squat efficiently because they either have a mobility issue or they either have a stability issue, or it's a combination of both. So we'll be diving in a lot more into that one. And then the third element is going to be looking at how we focus on our training, like be it in the gym, and compared to how we live our day-to-day life and how we set up our environment. Good. So firstly, to touch on the genetics and the makeup of the body. This is a really important one for us to be aware of, because depending on where you are from, like everybody is going to be able to adapt slightly different. Like everyone knows of like why Asians are like absolute powerhouses in the powerlifting, because it's like that Asian squat is like, as I said, like when I was in Thailand traveling around, you see these 80-year-old dudes sitting in the bottom of the squat, because when they're working the rice fields, when they're doing so much of their jobs, like they are literally just in that position, gathering, thinking everything all day. So like how their genetics have developed is to develop to be really susceptible, really solid and strong in its position through here. So then a lot of people from Asian descent have a really good natural squat pattern, like they've got really good ankle dorsiflexion. Their hip capsules have a lot of rotation through there, which allows them to sit into a squat really well. Whereas it's like sadly but true, there's like white Caucasian men from Europe, like that kind of Nordic background, like they are more notorious for having like tighter, more restrictions through the hip capsule, which is going to start restricting like their ability to squat as efficiently in that as well. And like when we look at different races in different areas, like everyone has slight different variances with it. So for myself, coming from Ireland, coming from like Celtic background and stuff, like I was already working against a lot of restrictions, because there was like, if I look back in how my family lived, if I look back at my ancestors, and like it was just built in, like whenever we were doing lots of work, if you look back in the grandparents and stuff like that, they never actually adapted the squat pattern when they were working on the farm. So much of theirs was that kind of bent over and like lots of this moving like this, lots of heavy twist and rotation rather than actually dropping into that squat. So that has had an effect on how my body has been able to adapt, and like that has made changes with that. The next one is when we were looking at the actual genetic makeup of each individual, like everybody is completely different. And this is one of the big things that is completely overlooked when we look at the squat technique. And it's one of my pet hates when I see people on Insta or see people like in PTs and stuff like that teaching squat mechanics, because they expect everybody to have the exact same squat, which isn't true, because everyone has completely different bodies. So it's all about learning how to squat to your body and to your ability. So for instance, like some people have, like it's that ratio of like how long thin fin is compared to the femur. Like some people have a really long femur and a short thin fin. So that when you look at the mechanics of that, that's going to actually have a different effect on how mechanically these joints are all going to be able to load. Like you see, some people have got really long legs and short torsos. That means whenever they squat down, if you've got a really long femur, short torso and short thin fin, like your knees are going to be going way over your toes a lot more, and that's going to be changing up. Whereas if you've got a long torso, shorter legs, you're going to be able to sit back and your knees won't transverse over your ankles as much. So there's lots of different little mechanics that we have to think about taking into consideration. So whenever we're looking at our squat, it's not comparing your squat to Joe Soap that you see being having this absolutely beautiful squat. It's comparing your squat to your squat and learning how to work to your body's ability and continually learn how to adapt and improve your body from where it was yesterday. And like that's the biggest thing I want you all to take home from this session. So as we move on from there, that's going to allow us to start looking into our mobility and stability. So when we look at mobility and stability basically, when we look at the definition of mobility is the range that we can produce through a joint. So it's like if I look at my hip mobility, it's like how much rotation my hips can have in that joint, how much flexion and extension my hips can have in that joint. When I look at flexibility, that's looking at is like how long are my muscles? It's like how much range can these muscles move through this contraction. So if I'm stretching the hamstring, it's like how long is the hamstring to allow that flexibility to occur. Whereas if you just focus on flexibility and trying to stretch out your hamstrings, you're only ever going to be able to stretch your hamstrings as far as the joint allows it to move. Whereas if you're able to lubricate the joint and get the joints moving a lot more efficiently through there, that opens out more range, which is going to start allowing more range for the connective tissue and for the muscles and fascia to adapt to that range within the joints. So that's where we put a lot of focus on mobility work, and like the flexibility comes in tandem with mobility. Whereas when we look at the stability, that's looking more at our body awareness, proprioception, and balance. So it's like basically understanding like where you move your body in space. And again, if you don't have a good awareness around that, if you've had a number of different injuries or issues, through your ankles or back and stuff like that, that's when our body has to develop these compensatory patterns that kind of throws off our stability issues, which causes an effect on how efficiently we are actually able to move. So a big one, like you see with the squat pattern, that restricts people mobility-wise. If I can't drive my toe really far, or lean really far over my toe, that's going to be a mobility issue through here. So instead of having that dorsiflexion through here, like you're only able to go here, so that you're not going to, that's going to stop how much range I can drop down through here. Whereas without even moving through my hips, if I drive my knee forward, you see how much that drops the hip down, because I just created more space through my ankle. So if you have mobility issues through your ankle from having ankle injuries, that's going to be one of the things that can restrict your squat mobility. If you've got mobility issues through your hips, how your hips are able to articulate, again, that's going to be one of the things that's going to restrict it. So through the course of the Wholesome movement, that's why we're focusing on a lot of hip work. And next week we're going to be starting bringing more ankle mobility and stuff like that as well. And like as you develop more ankle mobility, more hip mobility, as well as more spine, thoracic extension through there, like that's what's going to start allowing that pattern to become a lot smoother. Sound good? Then when we start looking at the stability issue that people focus on or people struggle with the squat, you see people when they're squatting down, they come down and their butt's up and the head's down here because they don't know how to actually control their center of mass through here. Like basically with the squat, it's all about how you can manage where your center point is to allow yourself to drop down without toppling over. So a lot of times you might be able to sit into a squat and you get down to about here and you get out any further, like your head comes down, you start rounding through because like it's literally you're like using your head and using your backside as a seesaw where you're like counterbalancing weight. Whereas if you had a pole here and you're able to hold on to a bit more weight to the pole, that would allow you to get down into a really nice pretty squat in that position because you're having that hold of that balance. So this is stuff that like we'll be going into this in a lot more detail later in the call. But this is things that you can start practicing in and learn how to develop that balance through there to find your sweet spot. Does that make sense? Sweet. And then the last one is that we're going to be focusing on is talking into like the difference that I was talking at the start about bringing mobility in with our training, but looking at our strength training as well that we're doing around our legs to help with that squat pattern. And then the other one's going to be looking at how we set up our environment and our mindset to invite more movement into our day and nourishing our bodies with movement throughout the day. So I'm just going to get you to take a quick break, have a little check in. I know there's a lot of information just being like boom, dropped on you. So this is why I am recording it, so you can refer back to this. I can go back and get some of them little nuggets of wisdom as we go through. Cool. So for this, I'm going to just quickly talk into the mobility and stability side of things first. And we're just going to go through some common problems that I see with this. And I can just expand a little bit more from what I shared. And then we're going to go through some basic principles that we can start bringing in. So this is where we're learning a bit more theory and then learning a bit more of the actual principles and things that we can start bringing into our day-to-day to make these tweaks and changes for yourself. Again, I do recommend, I could definitely recommend going back over and checking out this training a couple of times and just kind of seeing where you're at with it, and then like taking notes, and if you have any questions and stuff like that that is popping up for your specific issues, like feel free to reach out and ask for a bit more extra help and support and advice through it. Because like the idea of these talks is like it's to give you as much information and education about opening up your awareness to it, but then by also allowing you to start thinking for yourself, start to assess your body, start to understand your body even more so. But as you do that, I know that that's when more questions are going to start popping up. So if you're in a Wholesome movement stuff, that's where we can use the Facebook trends to like start like popping in more questions there and kind of really troubleshoot this to get yourself set up with it as well. And then with all of the mobility and the strength classes that we had in there, like that's going to be, as you see them coming out over a few weeks, you see how we're starting to progress all of the different elements as we work through. So when we look at the mobility and stability, I'm going to just start talking into a couple of the different problems that I see, or the big blockages that I see that have an effect on both our mobility and stability. And the first one is it has to be talking about squat, talking about anything like that. The first issue, it has to be talking about our footwear, because It's one of the biggest things that causes so many issues in people's bodies that it's absolutely frightening. And this is one of the things that like I've such a connection to the importance of educating around barefoot, and like teaching them about the mechanics of our feet and how we can use our foot mechanics to set ourselves up for a really solid foundation. Like it blows my mind how many therapists out there now still assess and treat and rehabilitate clients for knee injuries, hip injuries, back injuries, all anything not through the whole kinetic chain, but never look at their feet. And then we just have a podiatrist is the only one where people actually look at the feet. But then what they actually teach and what they promote is stick a big piece of plastic in there that's just going to stop you from doing a certain movement, and that's going to hopefully fix all. Whereas, in matter of fact, from everything that I've seen, that stops what's happening there, but then that just causes more problems up the chain. So this is where I take on that complete body approach, is like look at everything and how we work from our foundation, from our feet, the whole way up through that kinetic chain, because everything that's in our feet, it's like once we are strong, stable, mobile through our feet, that's going to give us that foundation for everything else to work its way up through the chain. So by getting your feet stronger and more mobile, that's going to allow your hips to move a lot freer with it as well. And then that's going to allow your spine, your shoulders, and everything else to start like having connected a lot more. So if you wear footwear a lot, if you wear a lot of restricted footwear, like that is going to be one of the big things that just starts putting blockages in your body and starts developing compensatory patterns to work around that. So the things that I recommend around footwear is going barefoot as much as possible, and just walking around day to day. Like I do not recommend, if you have always worn footwear, just going barefoot 24/7 or trying to start running and doing training and stuff like that barefoot straight off the bat, because your body has adapted to having this rigid cushion. And then if you strip that away straight away and try to do the exact same work that you were doing on it before, that's where injuries and stuff like that kick in. So it's a matter of like weaning yourself off it and slowly starting building your body and get more comfortable with that. When we start looking at footwear as well, the big things that we kind of look at is like thumbs or anything like that is one of the biggest no-nos as well. Like because if you're wearing like a thumb and like you lift your foot up when you're going through that strike and coming through that swing phase as your foot's ready to hit down again, like that wearing a thumb changes up the whole biomechanics of your foot, which causes you to like grip through your toes so the thumb doesn't fall off. But then as you're doing that, that's going to force your foot to roll in a lot more, pronate a lot more. It's going to cause a lot of issues through your calves, through your hamstrings, and again, all of that's going to start causing mobility issues through your ankles as well as mobility issues through your hips as well. So again, it's one of the things, if you are wearing sandals or anything like that, have something that has a heel strap onto it, or just being barefoot as much as possible. Same thing if you're wearing like work boots or like really rigid boots, like you want to have something that allows your feet to move in all planes. So like it's able to fold it in the center, you're able to twist it through the sides. It's got a nice wide foot box, so you want to be able to, when you look at the shoe, you want to be able to see that like your actual toe box is wider than your heel, whereas most shoes nowadays, it's the heel, it works out from the heel and works into a narrow point through there, which just screws up the whole biomechanics of your feet as well. So by checking out your footwear, by starting making changes through your footwear and teaching your body how to adapt to move more barefoot with that, that's going to start strengthening up everything from your base, which will help allow your pelvis and allow your hips to start opening up and moving a lot smoother. The next one from here, like that I see some common issues around mobility and stuff like that as well. It's when we are training our mobility and flexibility and stuff like that, a lot of times we just focus on one plane. So when people are just doing ankle dorsiflexion, for instance, like trying to get your knee over your toe, like we just try to go straight over your toe rather than going from them angles with that. Same is true with hips. A lot of times we just focus on the obviously the like stretch out through the hip flexor, but we're not paying attention to how our body is actually moving through that whole three-dimensional way. So we're definitely stretching out through your hip flexors would be good, but then like adding a bit of that side and as you're working through that, little twists and allow yourself to just start moving and paying more attention to when you're doing stretching exercises and mobility exercises. Like the more we can start connecting in and being more mindful with our movement, that's where we're going to start learning a lot more about what works within our bodies. Because as we're doing a lot of mobility, stability, and strength, our bodies are really smart, but they always look for the least path of resistance. So if we have had injuries, if we wear footwear or clothing that restricts how we move, if we have certain things going on in our body, our nervous system creates these shortcuts that it feels is going to be the easier way for it to work around us to make it more efficiently for us. But as we work in these shortcuts, as we work in these new movement patterns, that's going to start causing more issues down the track because it's taking us away from what our body wants to do naturally. So, by becoming more mindful of how we move, by slowing things down and really focusing on like how we're moving through exercise, how we're feeling in the body with that, that's going to start allowing you to start opening up that awareness and that connection to your body, and start going to be allowing you to become more aware of like, right, where you can start doing a lot of this stuff yourself. Like, I truly believe that like every person can be their own therapist if they slow things down and just start connecting and asking the body what it is they need, rather than giving the power out to someone else to tell us exactly what we need to do. So like, and that can even be as simple as like, as I said, like getting into like a hip flexor stretch. You might just be going into a normal hip flexor stretch, and your body normally automatically, because you're a bit tight in a certain area, you have a little twist through here. So you stretch, you think you're doing the same stretch, but you're actually twisting through, but you're not stretching where it is that you want to stretch. So by just playing with your body, by watching yourself in the mirror or videoing yourself, like by moving around, like you can just move around into that position and like square your pelvis up a little bit more, and you feel that completely different. So as you're watching this, like ask you to get down in that tall leaning position. Have one foot forward, the other foot back, and just allow yourself to lean forward into that like little lunge. You feel it stretching through the front of the hip. So as you're doing, feeling that stretching in the front of the hips, just feel how that feels through there. But then from here, I'm just going to bring your hands to the base of your back and just feeling how does that feel. Does it feel like it's square, or does it feel like there's a little bit of a rotation through your pelvis? And then just see, can you just bring a little bit of rotation side to side as you're holding that stretch. And as you rotate around, how does that change how that feels through the front of the hip? And then from there, just get you to hold in where you feel that your pelvis is nice and straight. And then as you're holding that, bring that awareness back to where you're initially feeling that stretch in the hip flexor. Does it feel the same, or does it feel slightly different? So by doing a little exercise like that, it's not just looking at an exercise and saying like, oh, that's how I do it. It's like taking ownership of how we show up for ourselves. Like, you're looking at an exercise, you're seeing how you do it, but then you're exploring your own body, because every body is unique. So start exploring your body, moving slowly in and out. Check yourself with your pelvis, check yourself with your chest. Where are you setting up there? Where are you aligned up there? And can you bring yourself into a little bit better alignment? And when you do, guaranteed you'll feel that stretch being a lot more intense, because you're actually going to be stretching in the areas that you need, rather than stretching in the areas that your body has developed these compensations from. And again, there are little things that we can start doing to really bring that awareness into our body. And that feeds on to is like the whole idea of having this educational component of the membership is to become more aware of how it is that we show up, because with awareness, that's where our power lies within our body. So from here, I'm just going to go through a couple of basic principles that we can start working on when we're starting to bring this into play with our training and our movement practice. And it's just all about laying solid foundations. Like, when we have a solid foundation, that gives us a really stable base to work from. Whereas a lot of times we get caught up in going like 5 steps in, thinking it's like, oh yeah, I can do that, that's easy. And then we go in, start trying to progress through, and then we realize, oh shit, there's something missing here. So to allow yourself to pull it back and lay in basic foundations, slowing things down, and then that's going to allow you to connect with your body a lot more and understand what it is that you need to focus on. So when we look at the mobility and stability side of our training, it's by utilizing our awareness, utilizing different exercise and movements to open up that areas. That's going to start getting your body moving a lot freer. But then a couple of the key principles and foundations that I want to focus on is like how to note that you're doing a squat as best as you can. So this is going to be a bit of a practical component. So get used to stand up, and we're just going to have a little bit of play around some movements. Sweet. So the first thing to focus on is just going up and down for a few squats for yourself. Just moving up and down, just feeling how that feels in your body. So a lot of times as we do that, when you're starting off with the practice, when you're starting off with your movement, it's like actually see how something feels in your body before you do anything. Perfect. Then relaxing through that. So then the next thing, I'm just going to go through one of the really basic things that we can start focusing on, and that's where we're going to be holding our weight through our feet. And then as we go through a few exercises and awareness drills to connect with our feet more, then we're going to go through a few squats and see does that feel any different. So if you look at my lovely dirty feet, because they're never clean, because I just walk around barefoot all the time, no matter how much you scrub them, like you want to see the base of your big toe. So a bit closer. Right. So base of your big toe, the base of your little toe, and right bang in the center of your heel. So like there's 3 points of contact that I want you to focus on. Like that is a tripod that we want to be focusing on and putting all of our pressure through. So it's right bang the base of the big toe, right bang the base of the little toe, and then right bang the base of the center of the heel. So there's the 3 points that I want us to focus on. So whenever you're doing any leg exercises, squats, deadlifts, single leg stuff, anything, just be aware of where you're putting your pressure in them 3 areas. So I'm going to get you standing up. And as you're standing there, just closing your eyes, taking a couple of breaths, and just connecting with how that feels through your feet. As you're standing there, just feeling, like, can you feel that pressure even on both feet through them 3 points? So can you feel the base of your big toe? Can you feel the base of your little toe? And is the weight in the center of your heels? I guarantee, even as you're standing there, some of these just going to hold more weight. It's going to be a little bit inwards from the big toe. It might be more in the tip of your toe rather than in the knuckles. You might find your little toe, you're not putting much weight through the base of your little toe, or you might find that weight more to the inside of your foot. That's if your foot's in a bit more of a prone position. Whereas other ones, you might feel more of the weight through the outside of your foot, and you might feel like your big toe doesn't even get contact with the floor. So this is one of the first things to give us that foundation from. Like you're laying a house, like you have solid foundations to work from. When you're working with your movement, we have solid foundations to work from because that's giving us that connection through everything through our kinetic gym. So from here, I want you to keep that awareness in your feet. But this time I want you to just, with your right foot to start, I just want you to roll your right foot to the outside and then roll your right foot to the inside. Roll your right foot to the outside and roll your right foot to the inside. So I'm going to come further forward so you can see. So like rolling that to the outside, rolling that to the inside. So as you're doing this movement, I want you to just focus on bringing that movement coming from the ankle, working that through. And just feel how that feels as you're working that side to side. As you're doing that movement, start bringing a bit more awareness of what your body's doing. Is like, do you feel like your whole knee and hip and everything is moving as you're trying to get that movement? Or can you keep your pelvis and your ribs nice and square and just get that movement actually coming from the foot? Again, as you're working with that, just bring the awareness down to your feet now. Is like when you're rolling that foot to the outside, are you actually keeping the base of your big toe in contact, or is your whole big toe lifted off? If it's lifting off, see, can you keep the base of the big toe in contact and just rotate that movement coming through and just trying to encourage that arch to happen through the base of your foot. And just feel how that feels as you're working that side to side. And then doing the same on the other side. And just starting off, just have that rotation side to side, feeling how that feels. Does it feel different compared to the right foot? As you're doing this side, do you feel like your whole hips and pelvis and shoulders want to move with it as well, or have you a bit more control because you have a bit more awareness? As you're working that foot in and out, do you feel that the big toe wants to lift off, or can you keep that big foot grounded as you get that arch up nice and healthy? And again, it's just seeing what your body wants to do naturally with that, and see can we start inviting a little bit more of that mindful movement to start creating that change through your body. So this is starting waking up all of the receptors through our feet, starting waking up all of the joints through our feet teach us how to start moving more fluidly through there. And then from there, I'm just going to get you to go for a nice walk forward and back. So go for about 10 to 15 steps forward and coming back, and then just getting back into where you're starting. So having that nice walk forward and coming back. And then when you come back into that position, just going to get you stand up nice and tall again. Just closing your eyes. And as you're closing your eyes, you're just connecting with your breath. And I want you to bring that awareness down to your feet again. How does that feel? Does it feel different through your feet? Do you feel you're able to hold that and then is it a bit more balanced, or you might not feel much difference? Just again, seeing how that is. And then little ankle rolls. That's such a simple little exercise that we can do continuously. Like this is one of the things that I just do automatically now. When I'm standing there waiting for something, I can just feel my foot's moving, feel my body's moving. Like it's like as we start consciously making this effort to invite some of these movements, it's going to be really simple and nourishing for our body, but bring that conscious awareness to invite them into your day to day. And then over time, that just becomes normal patterns, and that's allowing us just to continually feed this movement through the body. Again, bringing it back to kids. Like you don't have to tell a kid when they're learning how to walk that you need to go for a walk, and you need to call around and do this. They're just intuitively know they're going to move day in, day out until they get it. But as adults, we're told to stop moving, sit down, stop finishing, doing all of this stuff, so we just lock in, and then we wonder why we hold so much tension through our bodies. So allowing yourself just to invite this gentle movement coming through is going to allow you to wake a lot of that up. Then from there, just get you going for a few squats, seeing how that feels as you're working up and down for them squats. Even with that simple awareness, seeing how that feels through your body. Beautiful. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to focus on from here, like that's starting to bring that a bit of awareness into our foundations, and that's tripod through your foot. So again, that is one of the most critical, most important things to think of when you're doing any sort of strength movements, any sort of squats, any single leg stuff, is having that tripod through there. And the more you bring that attention and awareness through there, the more it's going to start waking things up a lot more, and it gets a lot easier. The next thing we're going to focus on is going to like how we actually initiate that movement. And that's starting to get us to start moving from the hips first. So we have a nice hip hinge to allow ourselves to develop that squat. So when we go for a squat, if you stand up, do a couple of squats there first to see how you do it naturally, working up and down. And then as you're working up and down, I want you to pay attention. It's like just going really slowly, not trying to think into it too much. As you sit back, do you bend your knees forward first, or do you sit your bum back first? It's a little split second of one. Is it coming from your knees or coming from your hips? So a lot of ones, when we see this starting to work through, especially if they have stability issues, we bend through our knees because we don't feel safe leaning back. So if you lean back, you feel we're going to topple over. Whereas we want to focus on developing that hip hinge, where we're getting comfortable with getting that nice hinge through our hips. So with that, get popping your two hands onto your pelvis. And you're just going to bring the front of your pelvis down, the back of your pelvis up as you're driving your hips back. So you're getting that nice hinge. As you're doing this, I want you to focus on keeping your shoulders back and your spine nice and long. So you're just working that back. So you're not like rounding through your back. It's not just driving your hips back and rounding through your thoracic. It's the shoulders back, chest forward. Just getting that nice hinge back, coming through. Hinge back, coming through. And it's just getting comfortable with starting to develop this hinge pattern through here, because it's such a key basic fundamental for us to learn, but it's one that a lot of us, especially if we head back here, we have a lot of fear around that. So we start bending from the back, and that's where we low through our knees, round through our shoulders, and then one right squat down here. So then the next one from here, get me stand up. We're just going to bring that into play with our squat. So it's having that initial little sit back so that you're starting to break at the hips, and then you're slowly starting to work that down and coming back up. Again, break at the hips, sitting back, sitting down, and back up. So as you're working through this movement, seeing how that feels, and keeping that attention through your feet now as you're working with it. Can you keep that pressure through them 3 points of contact? As you're breaking at the hips, sitting back, coming up. As you break the hips, sitting back, and coming up. I guarantee you, if you're starting to work through this smoothly with that, you'll feel it's starting to work different muscles through there. The more you're keeping them 3 points of contact through your feet, the more you're getting that hip hinge coming through there. Like you will not find like your knees are going to be loading up. You'll find your quads aren't burning as much for squats because they shouldn't be. Like your knees and quads shouldn't be the muscles that are getting fatigued when you're squatting. It should be more through your glutes, through your hamstrings and quads. So like glutes, quads, then hamstrings is the order where it should be. But glutes is the number one. But that comes from driving back, keeping that nice base from your big toe, little toe, and heel, driving that up. Sweet. So then the next one from here, we're just going to start playing with a little bit of stability. So if you feel that you start to work through that and you get to that point where you're starting to slowly come down, and then you feel like your head's starting to come forward, that's because we don't feel confident loading our weight back through here. And so with this one, this is where I recommend like either holding on to like a sofa or holding on to like your door handle or something heavy that you can hold on to, just to give you a little bit of stability and support. So if you've got something close by where you can hear me talking, I just want you to go over and literally just hold on to it. So like I'll just imagine that there's a door here, I'm just going to hold on to it with your hands to give that bit of support. And then go through the exact same motions where you're sitting back, slowly dropping down and holding on to this. That's going to keep your chest up nice and tall. And see if you can get into that position while you're holding through here. So just get these, go find something there that you can stand on. Holding on to something that won't move and just allowing yourself to slowly work up and down for a few squats in that position. As you're holding on to that object, the door, the post, or whatever that might be, seeing how that actually feels. Like, do you feel you're able to get down into a deeper squat? Do you feel you're able to keep your chest taller? And you've got more balance and you're more confident as you're getting into that position. Good. So as you're starting to work through that, it's like just, again, being super mindful of how does that feel through there. So at the start, if you feel like, oh, you can actually get down a lot lower with all of this. Like it's going to be like, right, that mightn't be as much mobility stuff. It might be more stability and getting confident with finding what your sweet spot. So a good way to start playing with this is using this as an exercise to start exploring. So it could be like holding on to the door frame, that you're just holding on to something and just get down to that spot where you can feel. So you're not holding on to it with your life. If you let go, you're not just going to tip back with it. It's like, see, can you find that spot where you can get down here? You're holding on to it to keep yourself in that spot, but we can start playing is like how do you shift your weight forward and back? Shift your weight forward and back. If you have too much of that weight back, you're going to tip back. If you have too much of that weight forward, you're holding on and bringing it ahead. And literally spend that bit of time just playing with here. And this is where I'm bringing, if I fall back, my center of mass is here, so that's why I want to topple back. So then I put my head forward to bring that center of mass here, or to bring that weight here. So that's keeping the center true center. Whereas if I'm in that position, I can just pull my weight forward, get more ankle range, or pull my weight back. That's a lot harder than trying to fight that. So it's literally playing with that sweet spot, trying to find where you can work with that until you find work with that little spot to play. And then it's a matter of, as you're working up and down in squats, holding on to that support. I prefer to see you holding the support as you're easing into that, to start getting comfortable with going into this new territory, going into this new space, because it's something your body hasn't done before for a long time, because it was afraid to do this. So allow yourself to slow down, allow yourself to really start playing and expanding that. So the last one to kind of focus on with this, so once we have that base through a foot, once we have that hip hinge where we're starting to understand that, and once we're having more of that awareness of where we're holding our center of mass as we're working through, learning how to play with that. One of the things, if you still feel this is really struggling, that I recommend is just having a little wedge or having something you can just pop underneath your heels, just to lift your heels up a little bit. So if you, wherever these are, just get you go, grabbing like a book or something that's about the thickness of your phone. It doesn't have to be too thick at all. Like something that can be about that thick. Like if you just have a book or two, or have something you can just put underneath your heels, and you just want to literally slid underneath your heels, and then just do everything that we're doing with that little bit of elevation underneath your heels. See how that feels as you're working up and down. So I'll just give you a little minute to play with that one as well. So as you're working up and down, you've got something small underneath your heels. If you feel that this allows you to keep your chest up a lot taller, keep your shoulders back a lot more, and you find that sweet spot a lot more, that's showing that you have a bit more ankle mobility issues. But it's also going to help give you more stability because it allows you to play where you're holding that central mass. So as I said, some people might just have more stability stuff, other people might have more mobility stuff, or some might have that combination of two. So it's looking at where we can use mobility issues to open out everything, but then playing with that balance, playing with exploring our body through these different things is what's going to get us more confident, getting into these different positions. And by building these into what we're doing in training, that's going to be a lot smoother and a lot more effective then. And again, so if you feel like having something underneath your heel is good, like start playing with that a little bit more. Like if you're when you're doing exercise, when you're actually doing a strength set, when you're working on squats and stuff like that, maybe you have something underneath your heel as you work your control up and down, but don't fully rely on that. There's like always know in the back of your head that you're using that to help you get to where you want to go, but you're not relying solely on that. Like as I shared at the start, when I used to eat my lunch in that position, like I used to eat it outside of the gym where there was a bit of an incline ramp. So at the start I ended up where I was on more of an incline, then over time I was able to slowly come down more and more towards the bottom where I was getting less and less until I was able to go in that flat-footed squat. So it's like using these things to help kind of build this in, but not completely rely on it. Like it's the same as like with all Olympic lifting shoes, they just have a big heel on them, so it makes you to get into like a super deep squat really easy. Like anyone can have really nice squat and wearing Olympic lifting shoes because that's got such a big heel, it just allows it takes that ankle mobility out. But you should be able to squat barefoot in that position as well, so that you're going to be a lot more efficient through that full range rather than having something outside of your body making it able and capable for us to do that. Sweet. So just take a couple of breaths, just kind of come back in. Again, this is why I recommend going back over this video a couple of times. Kind of like you can just look at the different parts of it. It's just bombarded with like there's lots of information, lots of little tips to start bringing into it. So that using this and going back and seeing what is landing from you. It's a very general talk because there's going to be things that will completely land for you, other things will be like, no, that's not happening for me now. So take what you need from it, but I keep referring back with that and ask questions if there's anything that you need clarification on. Sweet. So the next thing that we're just going to talk into is just talking a little bit more about the difference between our training program and how we choose to live. So now this is one of the things we've talked about quite a bit of bringing different elements into it, but again, you could have the best mobility program, you could have a really good like yoga class that you go to and stuff, but like that is only a very small minority of your time compared to what you're doing with the rest of the week. So if you're working 40 hours a week, sitting in an office with a computer, plus you might have like a half-hour commute there and back, so that's an hour commute there and back, which is sitting in the car. Then you're sitting down at the table, eating your dinner. Then you to like switch off, you sit down on the sofa to watch a movie, to like chill out. So like you pretty much just spend most of your day just in different seated positions, and then you wonder why you feel really hard to actually squat. You feel like your back's really stiff, your hips are really stiff, your ankles are really stiff. Sure they are, because we're not nourishing our bodies throughout the day. And we're hoping that like a 20-minute mobility routine that we do 2 or 3 times a week is gonna undo all of the effects of what we've not only done in that week, but what we've done for the last 20, 30 years. Again, this is what was happening with me for so long. That's why it took me like 4 years to figure out how to make big changes. And I made massive changes in a short period of time compared to like working for about 4 years trying to change it just through training alone. And this is where ground living, floor living, awareness of how we set up our environment has such a massive effect on it. So as you like watch me through this position. Like you can see that like I haven't sat in one position for more than a few minutes. I'm constantly shifting through. Even when I'm standing, I'm constantly moving through. I'm just rolling the hips, rolling my ankles, just continuously moving different movements into my body. So to get into this position, I know if I sat in this position for another couple of minutes, I'd probably be like rounding the structure, the shoulder and tucking through here. Like that's just as bad as sitting down for so long. Like one of my favorite quotes around movement is, "Your best posture is the next posture." I think one of the things is like with ergonomic setups and stuff like that, it's like an ergonomic setup, if you work in an office setup, it's really good because it's starting to change things and be more respectful, mindful of how you do it with your body. But don't put all your faith in an ergonomic setup, because again, that's us putting our faith in something outside of us rather than learning and empowering ourselves internally. So when we are moving, no matter what you do for work, no matter how you set up your day to day, it's looking at how you can invite as much movement into your body continuously throughout the day to continuously nourish your body with that. And this is where like taking in like movement snacks, taking in ground lifting, all of them different things is going to be super beneficial for walking barefoot as much as possible. Allowing yourself to start playing and exploring with balance and all of these different things is going to help you understand and become more aware of how you can nourish and move your body in this way. So again, going through some of the basics of what you can do around ground living is, it's just the set foundations. So like making things easy for your body, making it adaptable for your body. So if it's a matter of just creating some space in your house that you can actually have time sitting on the floor and get a road down. It's like the biggest thing they always say is like remove your obstacles to make it easier. Like so if you have a hard floor, you don't have a road. If you have too much stuff around your room and you don't have enough floor space to do it, like these are all obstacles that we create in our life to stop us from doing the things that we know we can do to nourish ourselves. So it's looking at like what can I do to like set this environment up to be conducive to more movement. So like with myself, like it's like we've got rid of like most of our furniture to allow more space. Like we've got like rugs down, we've got lots of different cushions, yoga bolts, all of them things down to invite more of that, more space. So like instead of going sitting in a chair, you're just going to back down and sit on the floor. Like we've even went to the extreme of like with our dining table, like we cut the legs off the dining table, so the dining table is down about that height, and like so we just sit in cushions on the floor. Like so everything that we're doing, we're constantly just in these different positions. And like I'm not doing mobility training, I'm just moving and living how you should. Like we have a sofa, like we one sofa in the house that we use a bit, and we use it more as a backrest than anything. While I'm sitting on the floor, my clients are sitting in it for a little bit, but it's like a fraction of the time compared to everything else that I'm doing. So it's looking at what you can do to set up your foundation, set up your environment to be more conducive to allow this movement come in. And guaranteed, if you're able to start doing that, if you're able to start changing your environment around and start bringing more of these different movements into your body, like that's just going to have a quicker roll-on effect in how your body moves compared to what your mobility program, what your training, and all of that other stuff is like. And again, like with this, it doesn't have to be rocket science. You don't have to, like, it's just get into positions, get on the floor. Like your body will know what it needs to do. Like get on the floor, once you get a little uncomfortable, shift around. Once you get a little uncomfortable, change your position. And just play with these different things. Like if it's sitting on the legs of a bus, you can sit in the bottom of this squat position. You can sit with your legs out. You can sit with one leg in where you're looking through my ankles, stretching through the ground. I can go into all these positions where like that's actually working through ankle point, plantar flexion. It's getting knees flexing, it's getting hips flexing, but then on this foot, that's playing with getting that ankle dorsiflexion. So we're just sitting in these different positions. It's like I'm going to be leaning in and stretch out through my ankle. I'm just going to hang out here for a few minutes, and then I'm going to lean back here and stretch out through this ankle in a different range. That's getting a bit tight. I might just sit on the floor, working through here. Like again, it's not rocket science. It's taking the thinking out of it and just allow yourself to just move naturally how you want to move. So with this sort of stuff, it's as adults we have so much fear in our body because we've been so conditioned to like, oh, you move this way, especially if you've got like you've had back pain, you've had all of these issues like, oh, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this. We're frightened to do all of these things, whereas by allowing ourselves to get trust in our body again and just move and explore our body again, that's what's going to start bringing more and more confidence in how we move. Again, like when you look at children, like they are our best teacher with this. Like you don't have to tell a kid how to crawl, you don't have to show a kid how to squat, how to move, all of that sort of stuff. Like the more we can just step back and just let them do what they do, that's where the magic is going to lie. But then, if we, like they mimic what we do as well. So if we're sitting on the sofa, if we're sitting in chairs, if we're sitting on the computer, if we're sitting watching TV so much, they're going to be copying us and mimicking us because they think that's the norm. Whereas if there's space and environment for them to do all of this other stuff, that's going to become a lot more natural for them. So again, like as we're starting to look at like our training program compared to our living, it's like looking at how you can set your environment up to be more conducive. Like depending on what you do for work, if you work at a desk, if you work in an office or whatever it might be, if you work in a garage, if whatever your job might be, is look at where you can bring in movement snacks continuously throughout the day to again nourish your body in these ways. So if you want to focus on, like I want to be able to squat better, it's like, right, what can I do continuously throughout the day to invite more movements in for a squat? And that might be a matter of, like every 20 minutes or half hour, like you get up and do a bit of work where you're just standing, like you just rolling, doing that ankle roll that we were doing, you're rolling through your ankles, you move through your hips, be holding on to the table, get up and do a couple of squats while you're holding on to your desk. Working, like if you have a stand-up desk, again, don't just stand stationary in that stand-up desk. Allow yourself to like change position in one position. Maybe like drop your knee back so you stretch and show your hip flexor as you're working through, continuously working through. Play with your balance. So like can you stand here, like do the stuff on your stand-up desk with that, or how out you're at home. Like the more things you can do to like invite these different movements into your day to day, like that's where we're going to have such a big rollover in everything else that shows up. Yeah, just having a look. That's basically the big things that we kind of focus on. Cal, can you hear me? Cal, can you hear me? Steve, can you hear me? Steve, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you can hear me. I don't know what's happening with that. But you can hear me okay, Cal? Sweet. Yeah. I'll just be going for 5 more minutes. So, Steve, 1 second. Sweet. So I just have a quick look at some sound issues from one of the guys on live. Cal, you're still good? Yeah. So I'll just finish off like that is pretty much where we are at the end of it. And so we'll just be finishing this off anyway. And Steve, I hope you're able to catch us back up. Yeah. Yeah, so basically that's the big things that we kind of focus on to help open out our hips and get our body moving a lot more efficiently through the squat patterns and through bringing all of this awareness in. But the biggest things I want you to take home from this, and I know there was a hell of a lot of information through here, so it's just allow yourself to sit with it, allow yourself to digest it, and I do recommend going back over a second or third time and just with a pen and paper take a few notes of any of the things that you really found hit home for you. The other big things is like looking at like when you're starting to look at how you move and how you play and explore your movement practice, is like what you can do to slow things down and be more mindful with your movement. It's like once you're doing that, you're starting to get more of that connection and awareness of your body, so you know what you can do to nourish your body in that way, and you're working within your limits. And then as we start developing and working through different elements of the mobility and strength work as part of the Wholesome mover, that's going to allow you to like dive deeper and deeper into that. So you're starting to see your progressions and work through progressions coming through. One of the things I also recommend is take evidence of your journey as well. It's one of the things I really wish I'd done back at the start, was like had more evidence from the start. Well, I get a picture, I get a few videos of you going through some of the movements today, and then see how that changes and develops over time. I guarantee that you'll be blown away, like, because as you start working through these changes, it's maybe there are lots of small subtle changes, but like when you look back at the video of how you squat now to how you squat in a month's time, when you see the two of them side to side or a picture side to side, you'd be surprised at how much that you can create change in it. But as you're working through the movements without looking at that externally, sometimes you can get caught up in it. I don't see much difference, I don't feel much difference, because we're always our hardest critic. So allow yourself to record and track your progress as you move to it, and refer back to that to continue to see where you are in your journey. Then the other big thing is just looking at how you can set up your environment to be as conducive and invite as much movement into it as possible. So again, for your hips, it's one of the easiest ones that we can do for your hips and your ankles is spend more time sitting on the floor, more time opening up through that. One of the things that I recommend is like have something that you can hang off in your house. So if you've got a set of gymnastic rings outside, if you get one of them little clip-on chin-up bars, like have something that you can just walk through and hang off to help open through your shoulders, open through your thoracic, improve your grip strength, do a few pull-ups, do whatever it is, have things like that. Again, it's just going to invite more movement into your day. And again, if you have any questions on any of the stuff that we covered, because I know there's a lot of details in it, please feel free to reach out and ask. For any of the guys in the Wholesome group or stuff like that, we will be delving more into this over the coming weeks, and we'll start seeing that there's methods of madness with how I program the mobility stuff as well as the strength stuff to start working and building this progressively as we go. And then once we finish the squat month, like we're going to be building that in continuously, and then we'll just be focusing on another one to learn on. Like we're definitely going back to this sort of stuff in a few months' time, but it's always just going to be these statements, these bases to learn what and understanding around this, and then that will slot in as we start bringing more new stuff in and like learn more about that, and then we've got more we can move in. So we're not bombarded with lots of different stuff left, right, and center. We're just having that direction to like have more of an understanding, set new foundations here, and allow them to just be mulling over while we're putting something new on top of that, and then like allow them to steady progress and go. Like if you're some of the guys that are watching this that's not part of the Wholesome mover but want to jump in, feel free to like reach out and hit me up. I'd love to have you in there. And yeah, just super excited to be able to share in this way. So again, I hope the sound was good. I hope the video quality was good for you guys. I know recording via Zoom is not the best, but just working and fine-tuning, get a few text things set up a bit better. But I really appreciate your time to watch this, and I really, really look forward to hearing how you take all of this information that we learned and bring it into your day. So please, like feel free to share your biggest take-homes, share any aha moments that you've had, and again, like, just spread the word with this. If there's stuff that you find really resonate with you and like, you think it'll be really beneficial to someone else, let them know, and I can share the video with them as well. Because the more people know all of this stuff, the more we can start nourishing the body, moving the body a lot better, the better it's going to be for everyone. So have an absolutely beautiful day, and I look forward to hearing the results.